Good evening. It's Thursday, 3rd of April, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Tariff turmoil. Trump launches sweeping global duties in Liberation Day announcement. Alliance commitment. NATO nations pledge $21 billion in military aid to Ukraine for 2025. Cultural harmony. Mona Lisa reimagined as music to bring art closer to the visually impaired.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Yasiru Bitana.
Good evening once again. In a bold move dubbed Liberation Day, President Donald Trump has unveiled extensive new tariffs, including a 10% baseline on all imports and higher rates for specific countries, aiming to reshape U.S. trade policy and bolster domestic industries.
It's our declaration of economic independence.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday announced he would impose a 10% baseline tariff on all imports to the United States and higher duties on some of the country's biggest trading partners.
In the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore.
The tariffs deepen a trade war he kicked off on his return to the White House and reverses decades of trade liberalization that have shaped the global order. He used a poster to illustrate reciprocal tariffs.
They like me, I like them.
Including 34% on China and 20% on the European Union. Trading partners are expected to respond with countermeasures of their own that could lead to dramatically higher prices for everything.
Effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
Meanwhile, a separate set of tariffs on auto imports that Trump announced last week will take effect starting on April 3rd.
Global stock markets experienced significant declines following President Trump's announcement of new tariffs, as investors reacted to concerns over escalating trade tensions and potential economic repercussions.
Global stocks tumbled Thursday as markets digested Donald Trump's big reveal on tariffs. A day earlier, the US president set out sweeping new levies that exceeded most expectations.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time.
Trump set a minimum 10% tariff on most imports, with much higher rates on some countries. The move sparked an immediate sell-off, with Nasdaq futures falling 4%. Some $760 billion was wiped off the value of the so-called Magnificent Seven big tech stocks in US after-hours trade. Among them, Apple, which makes iPhones in China, down nearly 7%. The slide then rolled on in Asian trade Thursday. In Japan, hit with a 24% tariff, the Nikkei index was down around 3% by mid-morning. Hong Kong's Hang Seng fared slightly better, down around 1.5%, with techs also hit hard there. Computer maker Lenovo was off about 5% early on. Markets have been roiled for weeks by Trump's on-off approach to tariffs. Trump says the tariffs will raise revenue and create jobs in the US, but economists widely predict they will raise prices and cast a chill over global growth. Such worries have seen money flow into traditional safe havens. On Thursday, gold hit fresh record highs above $3,160 per ounce, while government bonds and the Japanese yen also saw gains.
In the absence of US aid, China has taken a leading role in providing assistance to Myanmar following a devastating earthquake, strengthening its influence in the region through humanitarian efforts and infrastructure building.
After a powerful earthquake rocked Myanmar on Friday and killed over 2,800, China's rapidly deployed relief workers have made an impact. Social media videos are circulating of the orange and blue responders pulling survivors from the devastation, often accompanied with messages of gratitude. Beijing has also pledged almost $14 million worth of aid supplies, and these relief efforts have improved China's image in Myanmar, which had suffered due to its support of the unpopular military junta. In comparison, the US, which was until recently the world's top humanitarian donor, has offered a relatively modest $2 million. It's pledged to send a 3-member assessments team, though said their arrival has been delayed by visa issues. In past years, when tsunamis, earthquakes and other disasters struck around the world, the US had regularly and rapidly deployed skilled rescue workers to save lives. However, President Donald Trump has made efforts to slash the size of the government in a bid to end wasteful spending. And both current and former US officials say these cuts have hobbled the country's ability to act during disasters.
The USAID is really corrupt.
Trump has also moved to fire nearly all US Agency for International Development staff who oversee Washington's disaster response efforts overseas. The quake may have also strengthened the junta chief's international standing. Washington had retained influence, especially in opposition to the junta, through humanitarian aid and funds for the democracy movement. The recent Trump-directed cuts, however, have largely erased both.
China has intensified military exercises around Taiwan, codenamed Straight Thunder, conducting live-fire drills in the East China Sea, escalating tensions and demonstrating its military capabilities in the region.
China escalated its military drills around Taiwan on Wednesday. It held long-range live-fire drills in the East China Sea. The exercises involved precision strikes on simulated targets of key ports and energy facilities, according to China's Eastern Theater Command. China gave a codename for the first time to its war games, which started Tuesday, Straight Thunder 2025A. State media CCTV said the exercises are a, quote, strong warning and a strong deterrent to the separatist forces of Taiwan independence. Chinese rhetoric has been building up against Taiwan President Lai Ching-te, who won the election last year and who rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims over Taiwan. The war games come after U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Asia visit, during which he repeatedly criticized Beijing. The United States, which remains Taiwan's most important international backer and main arms supplier despite the lack of formal diplomatic ties, condemned China's exercises on Tuesday. In a statement, the U.S. State Department said China's aggressive military activities and rhetoric toward Taiwan only serve to exacerbate tensions and put the region's security and the world's prosperity at risk. Japan and the European Union also expressed concern. While the Taiwan government has denounced China for holding the drills, for most Taiwanese it's just another normal day. Taiwan has been under threat of Chinese invasion since 1949. China's drills may work in favor of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, which may use the crisis to rally local support ahead of domestic elections next year.
South Korea has launched a new top-tier visa program aimed at attracting highly skilled foreign professionals, particularly in advanced industries like semiconductors and biotechnology, to bolster its technological development and global competitiveness.
South Korea has from today implemented a new top-tier visa system to attract high-quality foreign talent in cutting-edge industries. This visa program is designed to qualify top-level engineers who will oversee projects and spearhead technological advancements in sectors such as semiconductors, biotechnology, and secondary batteries. Eligibility requires foreigners to have a master's degree or PhD from a top 100 global graduate school. Also, applicants must have professional experience in global institutions and an annual salary that exceeds 3 times the GNI per capita.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. Israel has announced plans to seize significant portions of the Gaza Strip and to evacuate residents, expanding military operations in the area amid ongoing conflicts and raising international concerns.
The plans include large-scale evacuations of the population, according to Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz. In a statement, Katz said the operation would clear out militants and infrastructure and, quote, seize large areas that will be added to the security zones of the State of Israel. He urged Gazans to eliminate Hamas and return Israeli hostages as the only way to end the war. Displaced Palestinians in Khan Yunis reacted to the news with dismay and determination. The Israeli military has already issued evacuation warnings to Gazans living around the southern city of Rafah and towards the city of Khan Yunis. Gaza's health ministry said 41 people were killed in Israeli strikes on Wednesday, including children killed at a UN clinic being used to house displaced people. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed since the resumption of strikes last month, and Israel has also cut off aid, saying much of it was being taken by Hamas. Katz's statement did not make clear how much land Israel intended to seize, or whether the move represented a permanent annexation of the territory in one of the most crowded areas in the world. According to the Israeli rights group Gisha, Israel has already taken control of some 17% of the total area of Gaza as part of a buffer zone around the edges of the enclave. Israeli leaders have said they plan to facilitate voluntary departure of Palestinians after US President Trump called for it to be permanently evacuated and redeveloped. Israeli leaders have been encouraged by signs of recent protest in Gaza against Hamas, the militant group which has controlled the enclave since 2007. Israel invaded Gaza following the devastating attack on southern Israel by thousands of Hamas-led gunmen. The latest move appears at least partly aimed at increasing civilian pressure on Gaza's leaders.
A mysterious sound during a protest in Belgrade has led to the allegations that Serbian authorities use sonic weapons to disperse demonstrators, prompting investigations and debates over crowd control methods.
Thousands of anti-government protesters on the streets of Serbia's capital on March 15 parted abruptly in panic as many reported hearing a rumble hurtling towards them. It's a moment that has created mystery across the country and sparked accusations of the illegal use of a sonic weapon. Sonic weapons employ extreme sound to incapacitate targets. They can damage ears and cause headaches and are illegal to use in Serbia. Others who were at the protest said they felt faint and nauseous. Some even fell over. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, who is already facing the biggest civil protests in decades, is under pressure to explain the incident. Used in the US, Australia, Japan and Greece, Serbian authorities denied possessing such devices until the country's interior minister admitted police had bought long-range acoustic devices from the US in 2021. But Serbia's police, security and intelligence agency and military all denied ever using them in public. The Amiga Foundation, a human rights watchdog, has researched the development of sonic weapons and their use on crowds. Earshot, a not-for-profit organisation that specialises in audio investigations, says more research is needed, but the noise could have come from a Vortex ring gun. It's an experimental non-lethal weapon for crowd control that uses high-energy donut-shaped vortices of air or gas. Russia's FSB intelligence service, at the request of Belgrade, and America's FBI have sent investigators.
NATO allies have collectively pledged more than $21 billion in military support to Ukraine during the first quarter of 2025, underscoring continued commitment to Ukraine amid the ongoing conflict.
Moving over to Europe, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte announced on Wednesday local time that during the first quarter of 2025, NATO allies pledged over $21 billion in military aid to Ukraine. Rutte stated that the NATO command in Germany, specifically the NATO Security Assistance and Training for Ukraine, would continue to coordinate military aid to Ukraine and the training of Ukrainian soldiers. The announcement comes ahead of a meeting of NATO foreign ministers in Brussels on Thursday and Friday, where further support measures for Ukraine are set to be discussed.
Belgium has implemented a new law prohibiting the display of tobacco products in shops, aiming to reduce smoking rates by curbing impulse purchases and promoting a smoke-free generation by 2040.
From now on, if you want to buy cigarettes in Belgium, you're going to have to ask for them specifically, since all tobacco products are now banned from display. The goal, reducing visibility and making smoking less attractive, particularly for younger people. Reactions have been mixed. What's more, sales in large supermarkets and at festivals are now also banned. The rules have in fact been enforced since last year, but the end of March marked the end of a grace period, with offenders now risking not just fines of 200,000 to 800,000 euros, but even possible jail time. Belgium had already banned the sale of disposable e-cigarettes on January 1st, with health authorities following a plan launched in 2022 to crack down on smoking. The plan's next phase calls for a ban on smoking in public outside seating areas, which lawmakers still need to approve.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. In Thailand, an unlikely rescue duo of search dogs and robots is winning hearts as they help to save lives after a devastating earthquake, showcasing how compassion and cutting-edge tech can work together in times of crisis.
He isn't a professional rescue dog, but this German Shepherd just returned from the collapse site. His owner, an animal-loving volunteer, has been training him since birth. He even has several first aid certificates.
I have 2 dogs. This one is specialized in finding live survivors, but the other one can find both dead bodies and survivors. I'm proud that whatever this dog has been trained for, it's now useful to society.
And he's not the only 4-legged friend helping the rescue efforts. This robot, created by a Thai company, is able to weave through the rubble and detect potential survivors.
It may seem like an ordinary dog robot, but it is not. Our robot is equipped with sensors, both at the front and at the back. This allows for human tracking and temperature sensing. Yesterday, we went into the field and detected the temperatures of both the living and the dead. The robot can distinguish between bricks, metal, and humans.
With the help of drones, thermal cameras, and probes, these student researchers from a university in Bangkok have managed to create a map of the collapsed building. Using this technology, they can even see through the concrete slabs. On Monday, they were still able to see some signs of life.
In a delightful twist on classic art, the iconic Mona Lisa and other masterpieces are being reimagined through music, allowing visually impaired audiences to enjoy these works in an innovative, emotionally resonant sensory experience.
Could music help the visually impaired experience art?
So the first hit appears there.
Iconic masterpieces including Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa and Edward Munch's The Scream are being turned into immersive audio experiences for those with visual impairments. The project, called Sound of a Masterpiece, is the brainchild of visually impaired composer Bobby Golder in partnership with composers from the New Radiophonic Workshop. At the heart of the project is audio technology that allows for sounds to be precisely placed and moved in 3-dimensional space, including overhead, to create an immersive soundscape. Golder, who lives with Stargardt's macular dystrophy, is a professional pianist, composer, and musical director. His collaboration is seeking to bridge the gap between art and the visually impaired at a time when, according to recent research, almost half of the UK population do not feel that they can truly appreciate art, such as Jean-Michel Basquiat's King of Egypt, David Hockney's A Bigger Splash, and Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory. It is available on various streaming platforms, and all proceeds are donated to the Royal National Institute of Blind People.
In Guinea, vibrant tradition meets national pride as the country works to protect lepi fabric, a centuries-old textile arts that's capturing fresh attention from younger generations eager to preserve and wear their cultural roots in style.
In this workshop in Koya, the ancestral art of lepi is being kept alive. 50 kilometers from Guinea's capital, Conakry, threads are carefully selected before they are woven using traditional techniques. From winding to weaving to dyeing with indigo, Aliou follows a meticulous process taught to him by his mother.
After a few hours in the sun, our fabric dries. Here's our cowrie pattern in a black dye.
Each piece of cloth is 1.2 meters wide, handmade with fine cotton thread, and streaked in black or indigo, before being passed on to vendors for sale. The authenticity of the lepi comes now with a special guarantee called a protected geographical indication, meaning Aliwa's work complies with specific standards. In recent years, counterfeit versions of the famous fabric have flooded the market, creating unfair competition for local craftsmen. Authorities say the protected designation will help combat this. Guinea wants to go even further in officially recognizing lepi's value by adding it to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage.
Well, that's a wrap from all of us here at World News Tonight. Stay tuned as Anuradhi Wickramasinghe will be shortly joining you with the nightly business report. I'm Yasir Vitana and we are leaving you with the scenes of Britain's MI5 exhibition in London. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.